Hello folks, it's Jay Ramey here. I'm an attorney. I am a criminal offense attorney in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and this is episode 3 of Know Your Rights. And as you know, I talk about the 3 big things you need to know about your rights, and that's what we talked about in episode 1. And now in episode 2, now we're in episode 3, and we're going to talk about number 2 on that list of the 3 big things you need to know. And number 2 on that list is, I am not answering any questions, and I want to speak to an attorney. So, let's take a closer look at my giant post-it note. Alright folks, we got a little bit closer look here of number 2 of the 3 big things you need to know about your rights. And this again is, I am not answering any questions, and I need or want to speak to an attorney. And again, I don't care how you say this. I am remaining silent, and I want to speak to a lawyer. I am asserting my 5th Amendment right, and I want to speak to a barrister. I really don't care how you say it. But you tell these bozos that you're not answering any questions. That's number 1. And number 2, that you want to speak to an attorney. Because you're asserting 2 rights here. First of all, this part, I am not answering any questions. That's from the 5th Amendment to the United States Constitution. That's your 5th Amendment right to remain silent and not be a witness against yourself. And the second part, I want to speak to an attorney, that comes from your 6th Amendment right to the United States Constitution. You have a 6th Amendment right to have counsel with you during any and all police questioning. So, you are sure, you make sure, and if you screw it up and only assert 1 right, that's fine. But the most important thing is just don't talk. Don't say anything. But you want to make sure these bozos know that you're not answering any questions, that you want to speak to an attorney. Under the law, once you request an attorney, all questioning must cease. Legally, I'm not saying it's going to happen because the police don't follow the law. We all know that. But I'm telling you, legally, if you request an attorney, under the law, all questioning must immediately cease until you've been provided with a lawyer. Folks, we do not answer questions from the police or give statements to the police for any reason. There are no even ifs. Even if they yell at you, even if they're mean to you, even if your friend, the waitress at Pizza Hut, told you have to answer the police questions, even if they threaten to arrest your son, your daughter, your wife, your girlfriend, your aunt, your dog, your cat, even if your friend, the waitress at Pizza Hut, tells you that it's an automatic 4 days in jail to assert your constitutional rights. Even if the police say, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. There are no even ifs to this. We keep our damn mouths shut, except to say, I am not answering any questions, and I want to speak to an attorney. That's it. This one is so easy, I don't know how it's so hard for people to do this. They cannot make you talk. The police absolutely cannot make you talk. They can't do it. You just sit there with a stupid look on your face and you don't say anything except, I am not answering any questions and I want to speak to an attorney. Now, let's talk about some things where this comes up. One of my favorite ones, this happens, I get one of these cases in about once a month, maybe once every couple months. You get some guy, he gets caught with marijuana in his car, in his house, or in his pocket, it doesn't matter. And the police say, what's this? Or even the police don't even ask any questions. He just starts blurting it out. Oh, well that marijuana is for my wife who's home sick in bed with cancer. Or, oh, I'm taking it over to my friend's house to smoke it with him. Or, oh, well, half of it's my brother's. I'm taking his half to him right now, then I will keep the other half. Now, just finding the marijuana, that would have led to a misdemeanor criminal charge against the person. It would have been a misdemeanor. But because they had to open their mouth and start running their mouths, they just talked themselves into a felony charge of possession with intent to distribute. Just because they had to go and say, oh, I'm taking it to my friend, I'm taking it to my wife in bed with cancer. Just that statement alone gets these people charged with a felony. Why? Why do we have to say this? All we say is, I'm not answering any questions, and I want to speak to an attorney. And then you shut up. How hard is that? Another one of my favorite examples is people, it's usually, not always, but sometimes when they're pulled over and they're accused of DUI drugs or DUI or some kind of DUI, they have to come out and give the cop their entire life history of drug usage, including alcohol and prescription drugs. Listen, folks, the police are not your therapist. The police are not your psychologist. The police are not your minister. The police are not your psychologist. Or I think I've already said that, a psychiatrist. And the police are certainly not your lawyer. If you want to go tell all those other people, your minister, your lawyer, and healthcare professionals, your entire life history of drug usage, well, knock yourself out. Go do it. The police are not one of those people. The police are there to kidnap you off the street and take you and lock you in a cage. You don't need to tell them your entire life history of drug, including alcohol and prescription drug usage. You keep your damn mouth shut and you say, I'm not answering any questions and I want to speak to an attorney. Now, how does this come up? Some cop accused, this happens all the time to clients I have. I'm not making these stories up. They come from my experience. Cop pulls someone over, accuses them of being DUI drugs. Do you take prescription drugs? Why, yes. When was the last time you took a prescription drug? Well, I took my Xanax 2 days ago. And then they go into how they got a prescription, why they use it, blah, 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 blah. And then you know what that cop writes in the police report? The suspect admitted to taking Xanax before driving. That's how it gets written up in the police report. Or someone gets arrested at, let's say, at midnight. And they have to open their mouths and say, I had 2 beers at lunch. How does that get written up in the police report? The suspect admitted to drinking before driving a car. You don't tell these people your entire life history of drug usage. It's none of their business. If you're out on the street, if you're walking down the street, if you're driving a car and some cops start asking you anything about marijuana, drinking, prescription drugs, you tell them, I got nothing to say, I need to talk to an attorney. And some people tell me, oh, well, I wanted to be honest. I was honest and up front. You know what? The most honest thing you can tell a police officer, if you're in trouble and he's questioning you, the most honest thing you can tell him is, I am not answering any questions, and I want to speak to an attorney. Because, by God, that's the most honest thing you can tell a police officer when he's either detaining you or has arrested you. That's the most honest thing you can say, because that is what you need to do. You need to not answer questions, and you need to speak to an attorney. Now, kind of following along that same line, never lie to the police. And I never told people to lie to the police. You tell them I got nothing to say, I need to talk to an attorney. Don't ever lie to the police. That can lead to more charges being brought. Obstruction charges, false personation. You don't ever lie to the police. And don't lie to them about your name, because that's a felony. You just tell them, I got nothing to say. I'm not answering any questions, and I want to speak to an attorney. It's that simple. All right, folks. Let's say you're sitting at home, peaceful. It's a peaceful night. You're there with your wife and your little baby, and you're sitting there watching TV. Next thing you know, the front door just kicked in. Boom! You don't even know what's going on. And some jackbooted thugs come in. There's 10 police officers, all their helmets and vests, and they got guns. And they throw your wife down on the ground, and even though she's 9 months pregnant, they put a gun in the back of her head. Well, one of them got a knee in her spine and says something like, "Don't move, motherfucker! I'll blow your fucking head off." Which these stories happen. I hear them all the time. And then they pick you up off the ground, they throw you on the couch. And they've done this because, oh my God, horror of horrors, they got some search warrant because they heard there was marijuana, the evil, wicked marijuana in your house. And they throw you on the couch. The first thing they're probably going to do is read your Miranda warning to you, but we're going to talk about the Miranda warning more here in a minute. But regardless if they read your Miranda, you tell them, you're in trouble. You're in big trouble. They've come busting in your house with a warrant. You're going to jail, and you're not going to talk your way out of it. You're never going to talk your way out of it. But once they've done that, they're going to start in with the questions. And they're going to start in with, hey, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the hard way. And they're going to threaten to arrest your wife and put your kid in DHS custody. They're going to make all these threats. I don't care. You tell them, I'm not answering any questions and I want to speak to an attorney. That's it. And then you shut up. And if they keep on, you say it one more time. I'm not answering any questions and I want to speak to an attorney. You might have to say this 10 times. But that's it. That's all you say. You don't tell them anything else. Now, before they start questioning you, they're supposed to read your Miranda warning. Or sometimes they'll have a form. It's a standard form, has all your rights, it's all listed there. They will read through it, have you initial each one, and then 98% of my clients sign it. Oh, sure, I'll tell you anything you want. They sign it, and then they just tell the cops anything they want to know. Anything and everything. The cops come busting in for a search warrant. Next thing you know, they're telling them about a murder they committed 10 years ago. My God, people. You don't sign those Miranda waivers, and if they just read it to you and say, do you want to talk to us? You say, no. No. I want to speak to an attorney. That's who I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to you. I don't know. I don't understand why 95, 98% of my clients just start talking, tell them everything they want to know, and even things they're not even there for. We're here for marijuana. Well, let me tell you about the murder I committed 10 years ago. Listen, people, they can't make you talk. You need to keep your mouth shut, and you tell them, I'm not answering any questions, and I'm going to speak to an attorney. Folks, we never make statements to the police or answer questions from the police. Even if we know we have nothing to hide, even if we know we're 100% innocent. All of you know, I'm a big proponent of your right to self-defense in the Second Amendment. But if you go shooting someone, even if you think you were 100% completely justified in doing it, when the cops show up, you tell them, I'm not answering any questions, and I want to speak to an attorney. And you tell your attorney everything. You don't tell the police. And then if it goes to court, if it goes to trial, we'll decide if you're going to testify or not. If you're going to testify, we'll put you on the witness stand. You can tell them jurors all about it. There's no rush to tell the police everything. Again, the police are not there to help you prove you're innocent. They're there to kidnap you off the street and take you down to the jail and lock you in a cage. Why do you want to help them do that? Folks, the police may sometimes call you up, or they come to your house, and they act all friendly and everything. Well, we just need to clear some things up. We need you to come downtown. We need to clear some things up. Would you mind coming down with us, and we'll just clear some things up? And they take you in their little interview room, if you agree, which you shouldn't do, and they take you in their little interview room, and then the treatment starts. And they'll start in on you. And they're very good at what they do. They've been trained to do it, and they got a lot of experience to do it. They just want to get you to confess. They don't care if it's a false confession or not. Once they decided who they think's guilty, all they want to do is be able to back that up with a confession so they can close the case and move on to the next one. They don't care if you give a false confession. And it happens all the time. The people go down there to the police station and they start in, and 4, 5, 6 hours later, sometimes it doesn't even take that long, they're making a full confession. And they'll play their little games. They'll tell you, well, we've already got DNA evidence that shows you're guilty. Well, you're going to get the death penalty, but if you just tell us, then we'll talk to the judge and you won't get the death penalty. Well, it doesn't even work that way. They're lying to you. They'll tell you, they'll do other stuff. They'll bring 2 of you down to the police station. They'll put you one in one room and one in the other. And they'll come in, well, and this is a lie. Well, your buddy's already told us all about it. He told us how you did it, and he's willing to testify, and blah, blah, blah. Don't fall for the tricks, all right? And when you're invited to go down to the police station, you never go. I get people doing this all the time, and I don't understand it. They come to your house, they call you up and say, we want you to come down and clear some things up. I'm not answering any questions, and I want to speak to an attorney. And then you hang up the phone. And if they're there at your house, you tell them you close the door and go back inside. And if they tell you you're under arrest and they take you down to the detective division and put you in one of them little rooms, you don't say nothing. You say, I'm not answering any questions and I want to speak to an attorney. And you just sit there as long as it takes till they take you to jail. Alright? So, that is our lesson now for episode 3. And folks, please, for God's sake, please do not make statements to the police. Always assert your constitutional rights, your sacred constitutional rights when having a police encounter. Always assert those rights and never, ever waive those rights. And if you got something to say, you say it to me, your attorney. You don't talk to the cops. All right, folks. Thanks. We'll see you all next time.